So the first question you ask somebody when they walk into the open house is your home on the market? 90% of the time you're going to hear, no, it's not. Your response to that is, so you're thinking of selling. Now, is it a statement or it is a question? It depends on upswing or downswing. If you end it with an upswing, it's a question. So you're thinking of selling. It's a question. Now, you might hear yes, you might hear no, you might hear I don't know. Pay attention, look for an opportunity to go to schedule face-to-face time. In other words, if I hear somebody that's interested in putting their home on the market, maybe not today, maybe not next month, maybe not even for another 6 months, really, it doesn't matter to me. I'd love to do comparables for you. Pop by, take a look at your home, sit down, go through a market analysis with you, and give you an idea of what your home would sell for, so that you know when it's time to put your home on the market. Now, I'm available blank and blank. Which one of those works better for you? Assume they're going to want to meet with you and close for the appointment. Now, listen to me really carefully, because you're going to be tempted to be less aggressive. I promise you, you are. You're going to be tempted to say something like, I would be glad to send those comparables to you via email. If you'll just give me your email address, I'll send you a market analysis on your home. Less invasive. It feels like you're being less pushy. Don't fall for that temptation. Go for the appointment. The purpose of the conversation is to schedule an appointment. It's always to schedule an appointment. If I'm making phone calls to for sale by owners and expireds, the purpose of the call is to schedule the appointment. I'm not looking for reasons to judge away opportunity. I'm scheduling the appointment, Angel. If somebody walks into my open house and I ask them, is your home on the market? And they say no, and I respond with, so you're thinking of selling? And their response is, yeah, probably not for another 6 months, and we've already got an agent. Now, how would you respond to that? My response would be, awesome. I'd love to do a market analysis for you. Love to schedule some time to come over and take a look at your home and go through the comparables to give you an idea of what your home will sell for when you decide to put it on the market. And in the meantime, I might be able to bring you a buyer. I'm available tomorrow at blank or the next day at blank. So I'm not hearing, we already have an agent. All right, it's 6 months out. Do you think they have an agent, a written agreement to work with an agent? No, they don't. It's a defense mechanism to keep you away. All right, I already have an agent is just a defense mechanism to keep you away. Now, is there a possibility that they actually do have an agent? Yeah, there is. And I promise you they're going to tell you. Okay, I promise you, you're not going to violate any rules here, because they're going to tell you, no, we really have a written agreement to work with Tom. Got it. All right. Now, Angel, let's go back to the beginning of the conversation. So if I'm a brand new agent, or if I move to a new location, or John Dietz decides to get back into production, I'm going to find a property, ideally that's not occupied, because I want to do an open house at that home every single day. Now, I'm going to do that open house between 5 and 7 in the afternoon, so I catch people driving home from work. And I'm going to place anywhere from 5 to 10 signs out on the main road that have my picture, my name, my branding, my contact information. So when people drive by, they see John Dietz every single day between 5 and 7. So in this example, it's Angel. So every day, Angel, they're driving by, they see your signs, and after a couple of weeks, you're getting what? You're getting buyer leads, you're getting seller leads, and you're going to list someone else's home. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to go do an open house at their home every day between 5 and 7 in the afternoon, placing your signs. Now, hopefully and ideally, it's in a corresponding neighborhood. Maybe it's down the road a little bit. Now, imagine it's been 3 months and the same people are driving this road every single day to go home from work. And now they see Angel Mercer at another neighborhood every day. And they're like, wow, this woman is crushing it. Every time we turn around, we see Angel Mercer. And the next thing you know, 3 or 4 months later, you have more leads and you have more seller leads and you're taking more listings. And now you're going to do an open house at those properties every single day. Now, is this the rest of your career? No, it's not. But this is the way that I would ramp up my business if I decided to get back into production today. I just gave you my #1 strategy. If I decided to get back in real estate production today, that is what I would do. Now, I would start out by finding somebody else who has a listing because I don't have any. And I'm going to ask them, is it okay if I do an open house at your property every day? Right? And that's where it starts. Where it ends is you've got multiple buyer leads and multiple seller leads, and you've put other properties on the market. You've taken buyers out and you've shown homes, you got properties under contract. I promise you, if you started doing this today and we came back and talked about it 6 months from now, you're on fire.
I believe you.
All right. Sorry, guys, for the rant, but I heard open houses and I decided it was time for me to get on board and talk about this.
I hear a lot of agents say how well it worked for them. So
there you go. Let me give you a true life story where this came from, because I didn't invent this idea. And nobody's put this in the chat, although it's true. Is this possible everywhere? No, it's not, because there are communities where they're not going to allow you to do open houses 5 days a week. There's cities that will not allow you to do an open house other than Saturday and Sunday. All right, so what? Now what? Find another way. Find another location where you are allowed to do it. There's going to be locations where you're actually limited on the number of signs you can use. Okay, so what? Now what? Find another way. Now, where did I get this idea from? So there's a gentleman, his name is Gene Rivers. Gene Rivers lives in Tallahassee, Florida. Now, he's from South Florida. He lived just south of Miami in Homestead. And back in the early 90s, I think it was, Hurricane Andrew just destroyed South Florida, and especially in the Homestead market. I mean, his office was gone. His market was gone. The neighborhoods where he sold homes, there were no homes. So he had a choice. Basically, he had to start over, and he chose to relocate to North Florida. He relocated to the Tallahassee area. And this guy was already selling over 100 homes a year, but he had to start over. And the strategy I just shared with you was the strategy that he put into play in order to ramp his business up and get back to 100+ sales in less than 2 years. True story. All right, guys, since we're on the subject of open houses, let me share a couple other ideas with you. If you're gonna do when you're doing open houses, put a sign in the yard 2 or 3 days ahead of time, letting everybody know in the neighborhood that there's going to be an open house on Saturday between 12 and 2. In other words, advertise it ahead of time. You can have directional signs within the neighborhood, even a couple days ahead of time, as long as you have a sign in the front yard that clearly states open house Saturday, 12 to 2. Now, create flyers, letting the neighbors know that you're doing an open house, giving them all of the features and benefits of the property. Show up early. By early, I don't mean 15 minutes early. I'm talking an hour plus. Early enough to make sure all of your signs are out, and early enough to knock on 20 doors to the left and 20 doors to the right of the property that you're holding open, and let the neighbors know that you are doing an open house between 12 and 2. Script, Thomas, my name is John Dietz. I'm a real estate agent with Blank Real Estate Company, and I am holding an open house at a home right around the corner from you today, 12 to 2. The address is 123 Palm Street, and the owners asked me if I would knock on the doors of the closest neighbors and invite them to the open house. This is what part of what I do when somebody hires me to sell their home. Script. Now, it's important that you use every word that I just used, because the message is, if you decided to sell your home and if you hired me, this is what I do. Okay. This is how I serve my clients. I go the extra mile. I'm not like every other real estate agent. Now, invite the neighbors. Why? Because they might be thinking of selling their home. They're definitely thinking of selling their home at some point. Nobody's in that home forever. On average, they're moving every 7 to 10 years. Why else would we do this? Because they might know somebody that wants to move into the neighborhood. So go knock on doors, 20 to the left, 20 to the right. Another thing that I would do is I would hold a special neighborhood only block party. Write it down just like that. I would hold a neighborhood only block party. Now, Friday afternoons, Friday evenings are awesome for this. And you're going to plan ahead of time. So you're going to invite all the neighbors to this neighborhood block party Friday afternoon, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm going to have a food truck out front serving hot dogs and pizza. And I'm going to have an ice cream truck out front serving ice cream for all of the kids. Is this going to cost money? Yes, it is. But if you're leading with revenue and you're making money before you spend money, and now you're in a place where you're making money, you have money to spend, and this is part of your marketing budget, you will attract the neighborhood. You won't attract 5 or 10 families, you'll attract 20 to 30 families. Now, what are they seeing? What's the message they're getting about you as a real estate agent? If they're thinking of selling their home, what kind of impact do you think a neighborhood block party would have on the neighborhood?
That I'm the neighborhood realtor expert. I got a lot of traffic coming in, like I'm hot.
You're different. You're different.
Yeah.
You're different than other real estate agents.
They would see that exceptional service right there.
There you go, Daryl. There you go. There you go. Guys, you can do it in the morning. During the summertime, you could do it between 7 and 9 a.m. in the morning and have coffee and donuts. You hearing me? People will show up for that. All right, I'm going to quit talking because I've been going 20 minutes straight without taking a breath. And I want to mastermind with you. I want to hear what your thoughts are.
All right, you was talking about being aggressive or not being less aggressive when asking for that appointment at the open house. And that's 100%. The first time, I don't know, I read something or it was a podcast or something. It was about an open house before I went to an open house. And the objective is to get the appointment instead of just going to the open house and having people sign a paper and, just waiting to sell the house. Your objective is to get the appointment. And when I went into the open house like that, the first day that I went into the open house like that, I got an appointment. Right. And it was a listing appointment the day. So when that's your objective, if you're going for the appointment, you're more likely to get an appointment than if you don't.
There you go. There you go. Mm-hmm. Your mind will complete the picture. It will.
Now, is it not effective if you do it during the day? What's your thoughts on that? Not 5 to 7 every day, but maybe earlier in the day.
Well, Angel, I think anything is better than nothing. So if you did this 12 to 2 every day of the week, is it going to be effective? Yes, it is. Okay. However, the time I mentioned 5 to 7 was simply because that's when people are on their way from work. But I have a life, right? I have a family and I'm taking care of my family 5 to 7. So that's a no deal for me. Cool. So what? Now what? Do what Angel just did. Find another time of the day. Don't say, well, I'm not available 5 to 7, so I'm not doing this. No. No. Find another time that does work. Valerie, talk to me.
I once did a broker's open for a friend of mine. It's between 12 and 2, and I put a lot of signs out.
Mhm.
And it just so happens a woman was going to pick up her kids from school. She
Mhm.
stopped in. Well, I sold her a home, and years later, I resold that home for 3 times the amount that I had originally sold it to her.
Wow.
There you go. There you
It
go.
doesn't matter what time.
There you go.
Um,
There you go. Valerie, Valerie, I know where you live, but remind me where you live.
Live on in Miami,
Yeah. So Valerie lives in the
by
market
Miami Shores.
that I was referencing when Hurricane Andrew came through. Did I get the time period right? Was that the early 90s, Valerie?
Yeah, something like 91. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And the neighborhoods that were hit the hardest, I believe, were South Dade County.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any closing thoughts? Going once, going twice.
Just thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.